Okay?
Enjoy the video.
If there's one video game icon that I'd be willing to bet everyone knows, it's Mario. Your grandmother who knows nothing about video games knows who Mario is.
Aw, shit.
For good reason too. The Super Mario series has been Nintendo's go-to bread and butter ever since they struck gold from the launch of the NES and by extension, Super Mario Bros. At some point after this booming success, Nintendo realized they had a little something going on with this Mario guy. They asked the question, would people buy games featuring Mario doing random things? And thus, the Mario spin-offs were born. Now of course, there is absolutely nothing wrong with a good spin-off. They can expand the universe of a game series and showcase its characters' personalities in ways the main games may not have been able to. This holds especially true with Mario spin-offs, since the core series don't feature a lot of the secondary characters a majority of the time. With over 30 years under his belt, Mario has seen all sorts of adventures outside the Mushroom Kingdom, from hosting parties, picking up sports, kart racing, and even getting his medical degree. Not all of them are good though, with so many there are bound to be some duds, but we are here to focus on the positive, the best of the bunch that the Mario universe has to offer. The crucial component of this list is that it has to be a core Mario spin-off. There's been quite a handful of characters that have originated from Mario games, but break off to star in their own series. Properties such as WarioWare, Yoshi's Island, Luigi's Mansion, and Donkey Kong Country do not count as Mario spin-offs. Also, Smash Bros. Is excluded from this for two reasons.
Banned!
For one, while it does feature Mario characters, I see it as more of a celebration of all things Nintendo, so it's much larger than just Mario. And reason two, if it were allowed on the list, then yeah, everyone would see it being number one a mile away. It's pretty good. It's a good series, man.
Select your player.
I have an embarrassing confession to make concerning Mario Paint. I've owned the game, but never actually played it.
What the fuck, bitch?
The farthest I've ever gotten was to the title screen. It's not that I was absolutely horrified by the first 5 seconds of the game, but rather the fact that you need the Super Nintendo thingy-majig
The mouse.
in order to play the game at all. I should note the Super Nintendo me and my siblings had as children was a hand-me-down from my mom from her childhood, and I'm sure she had fun playing Mario Paint since the game did come packaged with the mouse, but at some point the mouse was lost to a sea of forgotten toys. As a result, that just left me hanging at the title screen for my entire playthrough of the game, which as you can imagine wasn't a whole lot. Regardless of my tragic experiences, Mario Paint is still a fun game. I'm assuming it is anyways, I'm assuming. I love any game that lets you showcase creativity, and the entirety of Mario Paint is focused around that ideal. There's no princess to save, just you, a blank screen, and seemingly endless possibilities. From doing massive research, I found out that there's quite a few ways to design your creations. Art mode gives you a blank canvas to unleash your pencil and paint upon. Stamp mode lets you create your own custom stamps. Music mode goes by a different beat and has you making your own. Lastly, in animation mode, you can create your very own animations. The name kinda gives it away. Now in 2019, there's tons of programs such as Photoshop that blows Mario Paint out of the water. But for 1992, this was a unique premise for a game. I wouldn't be surprised if this game was the gateway for a ton of kids getting into some form of art. Not to say Mario Paint is just some Microsoft Paint level art game. I mean, people have made some crazy things with the tools the game provides, and still has people picking up the mouse to let their creativity go wild. Maybe one day I can obtain a mouse so I can make my own masterpieces, but as for now, the title screen will have to do. One huge problem I have with realistic sports titles such as FIFA or Madden is that they have the ability to put me to sleep in a matter of minutes. I'm not the type of guy to just say, go play the real sport, but man, these games are extremely bland. If that's your thing, then by all means, that's all you. If you're having fun, that's awesome. That's incredible, actually. But that being said, I appreciate that the long history of Mario sports titles generally feature wacky and chaotic elements to separate them from the yearly editions of the run-of-the-mill sports games. Now, just saying Mario sports games is too vague, since Mario and company have dabbled in many different athletic endeavors. From tennis, basketball, golf, soccer, it's football. It's football. And almost everything in between. If you've ever played a sport in real life, chances are there's a Mario spin-off about it. While all of these series bring mild to moderate enjoyment, none of them hit it out of the park quite like the Mario baseball games. And by games, I mean 2. Also, I've never played the Wii version Super Slugger, so go ahead and put that to the side. Superstar Baseball for the GameCube, however, is extremely fun. IRL baseball bores me to death, but with the aforementioned spice Mario sports titles brings to the game, it's actually quite enjoyable. As per usual baseball rules, each player takes turns either batting or playing the field. While batting, every main Mario character has their own unique special swing that changes how the ball is hit out onto the field. How someone can catch a bullet flying towards them is beyond me. Each character also has their own individual stats across batting, pitching, fielding, and running, so when forming a team it is important to keep your lineup as well-rounded as possible. I have a question, how is Donkey Kong not good at everything? You're telling me Princess Peach can run faster than a grown ape? It's not just as simple as picking your favorite characters, because certain characters don't respond well to one another when playing the outfield. Even the name of your team changes depending on who your captain and teammates are. Experimenting with team combinations alongside playing on the various arenas brings a lot of replay value. Assuming you have someone to play with, playing a team game based on a real-life activity by yourself with a computer is the true meaning of being
a gamer.
What makes Superstar Baseball better than the rest of the sports titles is the dynamic of baseball itself. The longer nature of baseball's multiple inning structure keeps me invested throughout the entire match. Even if you're getting somewhat steamrolled, a good series of offensive and defensive plays can pull you back into the match. Yeah, that's all skill, baby.
Welcome to Mario Kart.
Perhaps the most popular of any Mario spin-off, the Mario Kart series is a fan favorite for its simplicity combined with entirely wacky shenanigans that will frustrate you to no end when you are in first the entire match and get hit with a barrage of shells at the very last second. I disagree with the popular notion that this series is the holy grail of multiplayer Mario goodness. I go back and forth between thinking highly of Mario Kart to just not wanting to touch it. Unlike Smash Brothers, where in that game I find greater enjoyment from turning off the random elements such as items or booty stages. Having things out of your control somewhat in Mario Kart is what makes the game fun. Seriously, go get a group of friends, turn off all the items, and just wait for the entire group to ask to play another game because the one dude with the bike keeps winning every single race. That's because Mario Kart as a series is so appealing due to it having both quick to understand controls and relatively easy win conditions for newcomers even while playing with series veterans. Falling behind? Well, here's a bullet bill to launch you closer to first place. The items are designed to keep it competitive between all players regardless of skill level. Unless you just flat out suck, then you're gonna lose every time, man. I can totally respect and understand this game design, but to me at least, the items in Mario Kart in general feel a little overdone. Of course it varies between titles, but in general it's become all too infamous now. Many races will go by when you're in first for what seems like entire laps, but here comes the red and blue shells galore just to knock your gold medal right from your hands. If you're good enough to hang in the top placings throughout the races, then it becomes tiresome to constantly be pelted by incoming items over and over and over. Of course, you're not totally defenseless. Items such as bananas or shells can be used to block incoming offensive items.
Another one.
Nani? Oh my god!
The balance between randomness and needed skills tips slightly too far into the randomness for me to enjoy Mario Kart for long sessions. But during that brief time of full enjoyment, I am immersed in some of the best track designs of any kart racer. A series of over 25 years, Mario Kart takes you through many different areas across the Mario universe. Some reference other Mario game locations, while some are unique places not seen in any previous game. Out of the two, I love seeing tracks based on pre-existing locations. It's both a way to do a fun callback to familiar scenery and also a chance to do some world building. My favorite track in perhaps the entire franchise is Royal Raceway, but only the 64 version. The track itself is pretty standard, no insane obstacles or sharp turns. A very cool thing about it is that you can actually go off the pathway and adventure around Peach's castle grounds, and it's ripped right out of Mario 64. Well, almost. Now, if you do this, you are for sure not winning the race, but it's a nice detail to let you drive around a seemingly pointless area. They could have easily shut off the entrance to the castle and kept it as a background element only. Oh, I see. Out of the many iterations of Mario Kart, my personal favorites are 64 and DS. These two are by far the games I've played the most from the series and have countless memories doing so. I do say personal favorite because I fully recognize that 64 hasn't aged the best, and if you're looking to play a good kart racer for the 64, just go play Diddy Kong Racing instead. Yeah, I said it, okay? Maybe it's better, I don't know. DS hasn't aged as badly, but the graphics and the need for other people to have their DSs on them to play multiplayer makes it less than desirable to go back to. The DS version does have mission mode though, which is something they desperately need to bring back. Altogether, Mario Kart is a series that, while is entertaining and a fun time, is just not my favorite. It doesn't feel like a full course meal, more like French fries to that juicy burger. That's number one, but no spoilers yet, because you have to finish watching the list.
You wanna play with your Mario game. I had a big Rames as a big Tames. Cause Mario might be super, but I'm super duper. With a big...
We are Nintendo. We transform as you cannot beat us.
There's one particular set of Mario spin-off games that I think everyone would put somewhere in their top 5, and you are probably expecting these sets of games to be either number 2 or number 1 on my list. Well, throw that idea out of the window because I have a love-hate relationship with the genre itself, and that of course is RPGs. I have to at the very least give an honorable mention to the different Mario RPGs out there, because when they're good, they can compete with the level of quality of more traditional RPGs on whatever console they're on. So yes, before you flame me, I think games like Super Mario RPG, the first 2 Paper Mario games, and a handful of Mario and Luigi games are fantastic. Some are absolutely amazing. The reason they didn't make the list is because it just wouldn't feel right, for I have never beaten any one of them.
What the fuck, bitch?
Yeah, that's right. I have played a lot of Mario RPGs, and I've actually gotten pretty far in some of them, but there always comes a point where some of my most hated RPG elements comes to slap me in the face. Specifically, there always seemed to be a boss battle towards the middle/end part of the game that I was super underleveled for, and as a result, I would get thrashed countless times. I must make it clear that this wasn't the game's fault, but completely my own, especially when I would purposely skip random enemy encounters in order to avoid grinding and speed up progression. I could dive deeper into the different aspects of RPGs and what pains the Mario RPGs alleviate me from, but this is only an honorable mention, so maybe when I actually beat them, I can give them justice. If not, here's a bunch of video essays just up the wazoo that you can go watch for yourself. After years of making Mario platforming games, Nintendo finally threw in the towel. They were finished, done, shut down the office. Who then would make Mario games? The biggest whiff of fresh air for the Mario series came in the form of Super Mario Maker for the Wii U in 2015. This was during a time of 2D Mario being bogged down by the countless new Super Mario Bros. Titles, inevitably making people sick of 2D Mario. Which is crazy since that gameplay style is the foundation for the Mario Brothers as we know them today. Super Mario Maker and its sequel are fairly straightforward with their concept. You make Super Mario levels. It seems straight out of a fan game you'd find online, but what we have here is an abundance of Mario related tools to make almost any level in 2D space imaginable. You want a level made entirely of pipes? Well, go ahead. If you want a rush of enemies ending in a climactic showdown with Bowser, go ahead. If you want to make levels that play themselves while making it a spectacle for the eyes, go ahead. If you want to make a level where you walk 10 steps and the flagpole's right there, well, go ahead. My point is, you can create just about anything you set your mind to, and with so many options at your disposal, new ideas constantly pop in your head. It's all fun until you try to actually make those ideas and it doesn't turn out as well as you thought. You may be asking, well, I'm not the creative type. The most I can do is plop down some bricks and Goombas and call it a day. The second half of what makes Mario Maker so special and allows the game to have a nearly infinite amount of replay value is the option to share your levels across the world. Regardless if you suck at making levels or not, there are hundreds of users who are always uploading courses that are just crazy. Yeah, crazy. There's been countless times where I boot up a level and I'm just amazed at how creative it is. My favorite types of levels are the extremely challenging ones. Not Kazooie because I'm not that insane, but the level just below that. It's the courses where I spend hours trying to conquer. The feeling of finally beating it after so much struggle is incredibly satisfying. But if the challenge is not your thing, as I've alluded to many times already, there's levels for any type of
gamer.
Mario Maker can also be seen as a celebration of the many generations of Mario. While course building, you can swap between different styles that change how the game appears. These styles take from the graphical appearances of Mario's biggest adventure since 1985. This feature has many layers to it. For one, it adds variety to course design and playability. For example, there are some things you cannot do in the Mario 3 style, whereas in the Mario World style you can. Secondly, since these themes are taken from actual games of Mario's past, it may inspire people to try out the originals from where the themes came from. Little Timmy, who was born in 2012, might just get a chance to play Super Mario World after all. Aww. You know, speaking of Mario World, that has to be my favorite style out of all the ones available. Its graphical aesthetic is just timeless. And it comes from the best Mario game, just saying. Either one of the Super Mario Maker games is a must-play for any Mario fan. In the second one though, Nintendo did take out the amiibo costumes, so by those regards, is it even good? Wait a second, is Mario Maker even a spin-off? I mean, it plays like a main series game, but it's not really the same? If you don't count Mario Maker as a Mario spin-off, then, I don't know, just replace this with Mario vs. Donkey Kong. That's a good series, right?
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
Take a board game, throw some Mario characters into the mix, and you have yourself the best Mario spin-off. Mario Party was a simple but surprisingly innovative and unique premise upon release. Nintendo took the board game formula from real life and turned it into a video game, with of course a multitude of zany elements to keep it more engaging. The average Mario Party experience goes as follows. You pick a board to play on, each player takes their turn rolling a dice, and then everyone plays a minigame. Rinse and repeat until all the turns are are over and friendships are tested. Again, the premise is basic and easy to understand, but the execution in a good Mario Party game comes out to be an addicting time. I specifically say good Mario Party game because as a series that dates all the way back to the N64 in 1998 with 11 console titles, 5 handheld titles, and a weird e-card reader thingy, yeah, that one doesn't count. The quality between the games varies very heavily. Oh, look at that. I made a little chart showing how up and down the series has gotten over the years. Mario Party had a horrible beginning, but then shot up tremendously with the 2 peaks in the series. After a little rough patch jumping into the GameCube era, they got their bearings together, but then dropped them super hard going into the Wii's lovable motion-controlled titles. Starting with 9, they implemented a weird car style of gameplay that deviated from the originals. It was bad! And then hitting rock bottom with the Wii U entry 10. However, things are looking a little bright since Super was a nice return to form, but still having a mediocre presence overall. I doubt the series will ever reach its past peaks with 2, 3, and 6, but I do have to bring up that after viewing a lot of people's opinions on Mario Party games, as a fan base, there is no general consensus on what's the best or worst. One thing is for certain though, and that's that not every Mario Party is made equal. There's tons of details, whether big or small, that have to all come together properly. It's like a dish. If it's not proportionate, then the entire thing will be bad. Yeah, that's how cooking works. The 2 biggest elements that are the cornerstones of Mario Party are the boards and minigames. The beauty of Mario Party being a video game is that it is not confined to just one board as you would see in about every traditional board game. Each installment has a handful of themed boards to play on. Later on in the series, these board themes are largely inspired by the central gimmick the overall game has going on for it. I liked the approach the original Mario Party took and basing the boards around the playable cast. It gave character to the boards, like Peach's board is a giant cake, DK's is set in the jungle, and Luigi's is in a basement. You know, it's tragic the game itself is horrible and most of the boards are actually bad to play on. Getting down to the meaty parts of board design is how they function when playing the game. The entire look of the board is important, but the layout is just as or more crucial to making a board great. To differentiate the boards, a quirk is added to make traveling around and interacting with the board unique. The quirks can be a simple factor that largely does not affect how you play through the board, while other quirks dominate the way you move throughout. These quirks can make or break how good a board is. A prime example is the Eternal Star from Mario Party 1, a climactic final board where Bowser has taken over as host and broken the Eternal Star into pieces, which gives it one of the coolest designs in all of Mario Party. All of this considered, you'd think this is one of the best boards in the series. Well, quite the opposite. It is one of the worst. All because of 2 reasons. One, even though it looks cool, admittedly the board is quite confusing to navigate, always checking where exactly you're going to end up after teleporting across the board. And 2, the ultimate sin is this board's happening space, the green question mark space that sets a lot of the board gimmicks into motion. Landing this on the Eternal Star gets you sent back to the starting point, and by you I mean everyone goes back. That's right, even if you do not land on a single happening space the entire game, you will still constantly get punished and sent back to the start, making it difficult to plan routes out. I could sit here all day and tell you what makes a good and bad board, but that is only one piece of the Mario Party pie. The other being, the real reason board games are named what they are is because a lot of people find them boring to play. In order to ensure people wouldn't get bored of playing Mario Party after a few times, Nintendo added minigames to the mix. Outside of event spaces, minigames are played after every turn and can be split into a free-for-all, 2v2, or 1v3. Free-for-all minigames are the most common. All 4 players are pitted against each other in some kind of task. Usually, whoever can do an objective the fastest or score the highest amount of points. 2v2 splits the players into pairs of 2 in a team-based game where both teams are doing the same objective. Again, centering mostly around who can complete said objective the fastest or score the most points. 1v3 is similar to 2v2 except the team formations pit one player against the remaining 3. These minigames are interesting since to make up for being by yourself, the one person usually has some kind of advantage against the team of 3. Unlike 2v2 where both teams are equal, 1v3 minigames are subject to either being slightly or horribly unbalanced to one side compared to the other. These different formations can constantly change alliances and grudges throughout the game. game. Just stole somebody's star the turn before, well now you're on a team with them and you have to work together. Have fun. Minigames are not something you can just brush off, for it is crucial to do well in them to take advantage in the board aspect of the game. Not only do you get awarded coins after winning a minigame, but whoever wins the most minigames gets a star at the end, assuming you have bonus stars on. One of the main reasons why I love the series is because I see something in it that I feel many disregard since this is a party game, and that would be its competitive aspect. Now, before you think I am crazy, I personally do think Mario Party can be played somewhat competitively. One of my biggest
gamer
pet peeves is when someone chalks Mario Party up to be an all-luck experience. I would argue that luck in Mario Party is 1, not quite as rampant as you may believe at first glance, and 2, the luck that is there is absolutely crucial in making Mario Party a fun game to play. I could make an entire video on this concept, but to keep it short, Mario Party is a game where you strive to increase your chances of good outcomes and decrease the chances of bad outcomes, which will happen to you a lot. It's similar in a way to poker. You can't control what cards you get, but through adapting to your ever-changing situations, the better player comes out victorious. Unless you get chance timed to hell. Getting a chance to talk about Mario Party reminds me just how much I love the series. Even though these games have a lot of replay value, and I doubt I would ever get tired of some of them, it makes me long for some new experiences. As successful of a franchise Mario Party has been over the years, it is a no-brainer that some companies have made their own versions. The big question is, are there any that are good, and can any of them match the quality of the source material? It makes you wonder.